Welcome back to Upticks. I'm Jake Falcon, the founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors, and I'm joined by my permanent guest and co-founder of Falcon Wealth Advisors, Cory Bittner. Cory, welcome back to the show.
Jake, thank you for having me back as your permanent guest.
This is my permanent guest. That's right, Cory. So rolling right along here, this is episode 374. So for our audience, if you haven't already subscribed, liked, and shared our content, please feel free to do so. The whole point of Upticks is to enhance financial literacy. The show is not advice. It's for informational, educational, and hopefully entertainment purposes. Also, for our audience, we've got a free copy. That's right, a free copy of my book, best-selling book, Retiring Right, Smart Steps for Exiting Corporate America. Just fill out the form and you can get your free ebook. And then, Cory, why don't you share your Instagram handle? Cory's
My
out there.
Instagram handle is at Cory Bittner KC.
Yep, and mine's Jake_Falcon_CRPC. Do they still call it handle?
I think so.
Makes me feel old.
It's
when
just
I call
who
it
you
handle.
are, Jake.
Who I am on Instagram. And again, we're recording this live from our world headquarters and our Shuttlecock studios. All right, Cory, do you have any soapbox? We'll start with your soapbox this week. Do you have anything before I dive into it?
I kind of want to dive into it.
Okay,
I don't want to start with the soapbox.
All right, good. So this week's episode is retiring without losing your social life. So let me cue this up, Cory.
Okay.
This is a powerful episode. I'm really excited about it. So here's the key. Retirement isn't only a financial event, it's also a social one. And without a plan, your social world can suffer big time.
Yep.
And many retirees actually see their social circle. Look at that. I can't social circle. That's
There
a
you
tough
go.
one.
You got
Cut in
it.
half. Cut in half within the first 2 to 3 years. And so the point of today's episode, Cory, what I want to do for our audience is by the end of the show, I want our audience to know that how to retire with purpose, connection, and have a thriving community. How about that?
All right. You better stay tuned until the end.
That's the whole point of today's episode.
That's great.
So I want to get your thoughts on some things.
Okay.
But, you know, they talk about retirement, Cory, and how it's freedom, right? Financial freedom, financial independence, whatever you want to call it. But people don't realize how much of their social life revolves around work. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a big miss because I'll give you a personal story.
Okay.
And then I want to hear if you've got any. So as you know, I had a party at my house for the Ryder Cup. And I invited, you know, a fair amount of people. It wasn't like a rager. I wasn't going to have 100 people there.
I wouldn't go that far.
It was
but
more
yeah.
of a gathering.
Yeah, that's fair.
But what I recognized is that probably 70, I didn't make a hard count, but I'd say 75% of the people that were there were people I work with.
Yeah.
And that is a reality, is that my friends are now the people that I see. I spend, 40, 50, 60 hours
Lot
a
of
week
time
with
with.
these people. And and it's tough because they're also my employees, but they're also my friends. And
Right.
so my social circle has shrunk. And
You're not even retired yet.
I'm not even retired, but my point is, I wouldn't say it's shrunk. I'm saying it's become focused on
Because
just like college. Like in college, I had a much larger social circle.
Yep.
But I was on campus every day and going to class, and you're around thousands. Where I went to school, I was around thousands of people every day, and now I'm not. My friends now are who I work with and my clients,
Right.
and I still have some friends on the periphery, but we're not that close anymore. What about you? Do you have that experience?
I do to some extent. I mean, I've maintained a lot. I've maintained some close friendships from high school and from college, but it's the same way. Well, and I think about this because for the people that are watching this, whether or not they intend for this to happen, I think it's what happens.
Right.
And that, people's social circles shrink. But the fact of the matter is, like, you spend so much time building your career for people that are retired or planning on retirement, it could be 30 or 40 years. And you don't necessarily think about how much time you're spending building your life outside of work. So I think that it just happens naturally. And that's very much been the case for me too, where, I think about the people that working with you, the people that we work with every day, like I recognize how much of my social circle that has become too. That can expose a gap when it's not there.
Right, because what are you supposed to do when you retire? Are you supposed to leave work and then not talk to those people ever again? And then, maybe some people don't like their coworkers.
True.
Maybe that's the reason they're retiring, Cory. And my point is, though, when you get into isolation, that's when you actually start making some bad decisions.
That's good.
You might start shopping out of habit because you got nothing else to do, like buying stuff on your phone. You might get bad habits and just scrolling on your phone. You might have increased anxiety because you don't have this community around you.
Yeah, there's a void that you're trying to fill.
Yes, and it's boredom. And boredom is a dangerous thing, and you can get a lot of bad habits right? So that's why it's important that we're talking about this today. To us, a healthy social life supports a healthy retirement plan. So yes, at Falcon Wealth Advisors, we absolutely help clients build and manage and monitor and change their financial plans. We also want to incorporate their social plans in that as well. Because the last thing I want, Cory, is for a client to have $8 million and they're 65 years old, but they're miserable. What value then am I enhancing their life when I do that? No,
Not really.
I'm not. Now I'm not going to be their social chairman.
Right.
I'm not, I'm
What
not
if they want you to be?
No, I'm not. I don't
Okay.
do that. I
All
don't
right.
do that. But my point is we want to talk about it. And so do you have any client, and we'll keep the client names anonymous, but do you have any clients that have dealt with this that you've kind of had to coach? Speaking of like, I know you probably haven't been a social chairman, but have you coached any clients on this? And what have you done?
Yeah, so I've had conversations with clients about this before, because especially when people retire early. Because on one
Yes.
hand, if you were retiring at 65 years old and all of the people that you're friends with are around your age, whether it's from work or otherwise, you're kind of at the same stage in life. But I've seen people that have retired at 50 and all of their friends are still working.
Right. Then what are they supposed to do?
Right. And I think that, you may rely upon a spouse or kids or other people to fill that void. But I think what people have to do is go and find something that gives them purpose. I've seen a lot of clients, whether or not they need to from a financial standpoint, that have found a lot of value and community that comes from going back to work in some capacity.
Yeah.
And that could be very minimal. But doing something that gives them, that sort of pulls them forward each day or each week, rather than just waking up with freedom but no structure. That's how you can end up in isolation. So I think
Yes.
sort of structuring what that actually looks like.
Right, let's get into that. So
Okay.
that's what I want to talk about next is the social portfolio.
Okay.
So just like we have an investment portfolio with stocks, bonds, international stocks, maybe real estate, right? All of that is in your portfolio. You can have a social portfolio. And let's talk about the components of that. And number one is family.
Yep.
Okay, so number one is family. Now, a note I have here is you need to check in with yourself and realize, how often do I want to see my kids and my grandkids? Right? And maybe plan on it. So maybe I know I want to see my grandkids once a week.
Yep.
Or maybe once a month. I don't know. That's different for everybody, right?
Right.
But here's the key, because I think this is a problem some people may find themselves getting into, is that you need to ask yourself, are you relying too heavily on your family for your social fulfillment? So if your family is also your social circle and that's it, I would identify that as just like being overweight or over concentrated in an investment portfolio. So just like I tell clients, if you have a $2 million investment portfolio and you have 1.9 million in one stock, I would say that's over concentrated. That's risky.
Yep.
You're doing the same thing if 90% of your social fulfillment is coming from your family. And you might have a big family and you might love them and you guys might be really good friends. But my point is, you're running a risk, because what if something happens and blows up, or
Sure.
you're still family. It's a different dynamic. You're still
is.
you can be best friends with people in your family, but it's still family, and that's a different circumstance than someone choosing to spend time with you that doesn't have to because they're not family. That's a whole totally different relationship. And so that's the first component, is the family. But you want to check in. How often do I want to see my kids and grandkids? And you can be honest with yourself. Are my only friends my family?
Right.
And don't beat yourself up, but you got to be honest. You have any thoughts on that before I go on to the next part?
I
of the
do.
portfolio?
Well, and also recognizing that your family has their own lives, right? And if you are over reliant upon them, like just recognizing that you may have an idea of how much time you're going to spend with your family in retirement, but it might be different than their idea.
Yeah. So it's probably a good thing to be open and transparent about.
Have conversation.
And tell your kids or grandkids, like, hey, I'm retired now. One of my goals is to spend more time with my family, and I'd love to see you twice a month or once a week or whatever it is, and make sure that everybody agrees with it.
Yeah, because it can be tricky to have the expectations that aren't discussed.
Exactly. Yes. All right, good. Let's talk about number two, is your friends. Now, a good tip here with friends is to have your core 5. Okay. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4, but just have your core group of friends. And how do you stay connected with them without the built-in convenience of coworkers, right? Because it's easy. I see you almost every day.
Yeah, we know when we're going to walk into the office and then we're going to step into each other's office and talk about what's going on.
And then if we want to do something socially, it's easy. So my point is, get your core 5, and then the company you keep is who you end up being. Like, you teach this to your kids when they're young. Like, if you don't want your kids hanging around a bunch of people that are bad influences, I would argue you have to do that in retirement also. So I would encourage people that are retired to choose that core 3, 4, 5 people intentionally. And you don't want to spend time with someone who's always negative, for example.
Right.
Or maybe they're drinking too much and they've got a drinking problem, because you know what happens? You end up probably doing that. Because you spend time with them socially.
Right.
So, not to pick on people that enjoy alcohol, but if somebody has an alcohol problem or a gambling, how about this, Cory, gambling problem?
That could be the same.
And you're choosing to spend time with them socially, if they have a problem, you're probably going to get wrapped up in that. And it's going to take a tremendous amount of self-control to not partake in that if they're your friend.
Yeah, and that's tough.
So I want people, retirees, to give themselves some parenting advice and say, all right, who are my core friends, and do their lifestyles model the way that I want mine to look like, or the way that mine is?
Right.
And then on top of that, so not only do you have to be careful who you're choosing, on top of that, then you've got to plan. Okay, well, how often do I want to see these friends? Because it's easy to go months without seeing friends. Rachel and I've got a great couple that we hang out with. They were her friends first, and now they become my friends also. And we've gotten bad about this. We need to get back on it. But it was their idea, Cory. Every time we would go out to dinner, we would schedule the next time we would go to dinner right then and there at the end of the night.
Yep.
Because they said what happens is life, and that's what's happened. We had to cancel for one reason or another, and we're not on each other's calendars. And I haven't seen these people in a long time. I had lunch with the spouse, the wife, from a business thank you. But the four of us as two couples haven't gotten together, and it's because I know why. It's not on the calendar.
Right. If you think about how many times you'll have a conversation with someone, whether it's in person or if it's a text message or a phone call, where it's like, yeah, we should really get together soon.
And then nothing happens.
So
then you got to check in. The question is, do those people really want to hang out with you?
And do you really want to hang out with them?
And do you really want to hang out with them? So the good point. So again, I can't tell you how often to spend time with your friends.
Right.
But it's okay. It wasn't a big deal. We pulled out our phones, we got on the calendar, and we scheduled it.
Yep.
And I get it. You might not be able to have lunch every Tuesday or on the third Thursday of every month. That's fine. My point is, though, schedule it.
Yep.
Schedule it. And again, you don't want to have this relationship with your friends where it's texting only, or where it's
that doesn't replace
that
the
doesn't
human
count.
connection.
Or you're scrolling on social media and liking their post on Facebook. That doesn't count.
Right.
That stuff is extra credit. What I encourage people to do is spend time. And the best way, in my opinion, is a meal. There's something about breaking bread with somebody that is more intimate than even just talking on the phone.
Yeah, and I wanted to share a quick story. So 2 clients that I work with who are both friends, they were formerly coworkers. They did this while they were working. They went to lunch together once a week. And they've just maintained that directly into retirement. And what's neat that they've done is they're both in the Kansas City area. So they've just expanded where it is that they go. That now, because they're retired, because they have the time, they might pick somewhere that's an hour and a half or 2 hours away. It might be some small town in mid-Missouri that has a great,
cheeseburger,
or, a great pork dish or whatever it might be. But they've just expanded that and they've stuck to that. But they have, a very healthy relationship. And I think they talk about virtually everything, but they've maintained that from work into retirement, even when one of them was retired long before the other.
That's good. That's really good. All right. The third thing here are community. So this would be like clubs, churches, volunteer organizations, or alumni groups, right? So this is just general community stuff. Volunteering's big. Go volunteer at a school, right? Help young kids learn how to read. Go walk dogs. If you don't have a dog, but you like dogs, go walk dogs. Certainly if you're involved with your church, that's an easy one. Clubs, there's so many clubs, and I've been bad about meeting in person, but I've got a pinball machine, Cory. There's a pinball club in Kansas City.
You got to get up in that club.
Right. I have a sports car. There's a sports car club. I mean, they go on night drive. I don't like driving at night. They did a day drive. I'd probably be interested. But the good news is I'm not retired.
Right.
But if I was retired, I definitely would be getting involved. Well, I don't know. I can't say definitely. But I would probably consider going and playing pinball with other people, or going and, driving my car with other car enthusiasts. So, and then alumni group is easy too, especially for you. You graduated from CMSU. So you've got a huge alumni group in Kansas City from Warrensburg.
Yep.
So that's an easy one. Mine's a little bit more difficult because I grew up in Texas, but that doesn't mean I couldn't do things, especially as a retiree.
Right.
Especially as a retiree. Go back to your alma mater. Go back to homecoming. go get involved in alumni events.
Yeah, and I would just to touch on that too. So I sit on the Alumni Foundation board in my alma mater, and I have for 6 years. And I see it. I think there's between 35 to 40 of us on the board. The vast majority of people on the board are retired or retiring soon. They're sort of at that point in their life. And I see it. It's really neat to see people basically come together around something that happened earlier in their lives, their
Right.
alumni community experience, but sort of re-engaging with each other and re-engaging in a common cause is something that brings those people together. It
Yeah.
almost gives them a new sense of connection.
Yeah, and that's kind of bleeds into the fourth one, which is
Yep.
purpose groups, which would be a board.
Yep.
Sitting on a board, charitable work, or mentoring, which I already kind of brought up also. So purpose groups different from community. I went to UT San Antonio. That's not my purpose.
Sure.
But that would be my community, for example, versus, if I sat on the board for something that I was really passionate about, that would be more purpose driven. So that's the difference on those two. Maybe you are passionate about your alma mater and that is your purpose group.
I think, though, to your point about mentoring, just because we're talking about the alumni group also, though, doesn't mean you need to go and join the board.
Right.
But also, if you went to college, even if you didn't go to college,
Even in high school, you could do this.
even your high school, if you reached out to the high school or the college, somebody in the department, and said, hey, is there anyone who's looking for a mentor?
Yeah. How cool would that be? I mean, that's a deal I've seen with clients. I mean, you and I have literally hundreds of clients, and we've had thousands of meetings. Our clients, Cory, have so much knowledge to share
Totally.
for people willing to listen. And how cool would that be if you were in high school or college and you're like, hey, this person graduated, 30 years ago, whatever it is, and they had a successful career and now they're retired at 55 and they want to share what they did. Who wouldn't want that? I would have wanted that.
Totally.
In high school.
Yeah, the earlier you can get that kind of mentorship, the
Right.
better.
Right. So share it. Good.
And people need it.
And then the last piece of the social portfolio would be hobbies and interests. This would be golf, would be obvious for this. Travel groups. My aunt went on a trip to Italy, and I think it was one of these big buses, and I'm assuming most of these people were retired. Pickleball, art classes, wine clubs, right? So that's a lot of people, that is their purpose or their passion.
Yep.
So things you're passionate about. But the point is on all of this, so let's just recap this before we move on to the next segment here, Cory, is that family, friends, community, purpose, and hobbies. There's 5 in your portfolio, but I would argue you don't want to be overweight in any of them. You want to check in on all 5, and you want to give probably a pretty equal weighting to all 5, just like we would in a portfolio.
diversified.
Yeah, keep it diversified. And if you say, you know what, I haven't done it, like maybe your hobby is quilting, right? Or maybe it's golf.
Yep, sure.
You can't say you're a golfer if you don't golf several times a year. Like, you can't say you're a golfer if you play once a year.
Right.
It's not a hobby.
Right.
And it's okay if it's not, but don't count it as one. So if you go around telling people, yeah, I'm a golfer, and like, oh, okay, when's the last time you played? Well, it's been 6 months. Well, you're not.
Yeah,
So
where do you play?
Yeah, or where do you play? So you're not giving any attention to your hobby, and maybe it's time to ditch golf and go do something else and get into something else.
Yeah, and to your point about not concentrating too much, I think that if you don't intentionally allocate your time across these buckets, you can drift.
Yes.
The same way your investments can drift if you don't, shine a light on it and pay attention to how you're allocated. Rebalance it, exactly.
Rebalancing. Good, Cory. All right, so the next segment here is the danger of going cold turkey, right? So this is, again, just like you retire overnight and you don't plan. And you get a loss of routine, your loss of identity, and your day-to-day social interaction. That's scary. And I think that's why I think people, Cory, are scared of the financial implications of retirement. But I think underlying all of that, or underneath all of that, is also the social fear.
Yeah, that's pretty intense, that transition.
Yes, and it usually takes 3 to 12 months. And some people, it takes longer, and that's okay. But it's called a transition dip. And like you mentioned earlier, Cory, if somebody is 55 years old or 50 and they retire, a lot of their friends and coworkers are not probably retiring that early. And good for them that they've got $4 million or whatever it takes for them to retire, and they can do it and they want to do it. But you have to recognize that there's going to be this transition where if you go at it cold turkey and you don't think things through, they can be a bumpy ride, is all we're getting at. A lot of people do a phased in retirement. You talked about going back to work or working part-time. I've seen a lot of success with that. And I've seen people hate it. So
True.
You're not going to know, unfortunately, until you try it.
Also true.
Now, if you're lucky enough for your employer to let you pull back, that I think is the most ideal that I've seen, where clients have basically worked part-time for their full-time employer and then they've retired. That's not very common. Have you seen that a lot?
It is. Yes, I have seen it, but I agree that it's not very common.
Yeah. So, and then what I've seen is people retire and then go work somewhere else in a completely different field and hate it, or in the same field and hate it. So what I would encourage people to do is start a hybrid social life, Cory, is that even if you have to work, even if you can't work part-time, start doing some of the things that we talked about in your social portfolio before you retire.
That's good.
So talk to your kids before you retire. Say, hey, I want to start seeing you guys more often while I'm working. Because you know what? You might not like spending time with your kids.
Right.
And that might actually encourage you to work longer.
True.
You're like, you know what? I don't want to babysit. Why would you go from making $150,000 a year to babysitting your grandkids for free? I don't have grandkids, so
a lot of people do it.
But unless they like it, that's my point.
Correct.
Some people might love that, and good for them.
That gives some people a lot of purpose.
Yes.
But some people are like, no, absolutely not.
Right.
To your point.
And that's fine too, though. So my point is, let's try that out before you retire. The good news is you normally, unless you get laid off or furloughed or something, but normally you have the power to try that before. So my point is, you might not be able to go full bore because you're working, but go out there and schedule time with your friends outside of the office, a lunch like your clients did, or check in with your family, or go play golf and join a golf league and see if that's something that you would want to do more of or less of.
Right.
You'll know. In the end, only you will know. Nobody else, and that's the deal. Today, we're going to help give you, again, more tips and tools to do this, but until you actually do the work, you're not going to know what's best for you. You're just not. You're going to have to try this out for yourself.
Yeah, the idea of doing something and doing it are two very different things.
Yes. You can't just talk about it. You got to get out there and do it. Okay, good. So let's talk about building your ideal weekly social calendar. Right? So I've got a simple framework.
Let's hear it.
For our audience, Cory. So number one, you start with anchoring events. So this is something you're going to do every week. And I talked about earlier that maybe you can't go to lunch every third Thursday. I get it. But I do want to encourage our audience to anchor it. Maybe it's coffee, right, on Tuesdays at 7 a.m. Maybe it's Monday golf. Maybe it's Thursday pickleball. Or maybe it's volunteering every Friday. But I want to have some sort of anchor on your calendar. And that's going to allow you to start building structure around it, because again, we get unstructured is typically a lot of times when people get unhappy. When you were a kid, did you have a messy room? You probably did, Cory, didn't you? No, maybe not. Did you? I don't know.
Yeah, I had a pretty messy room. It wasn't terrible, but yes, it was a messy child room.
Did your parents encourage you to clean it?
They did, often.
And how did you feel after you cleaned it?
Better.
Or you didn't care?
I felt like things were more organized. Like things are the way they're supposed to be.
Yes, same with me. A clean and tidy room, making my bed, and those things provided structure. So that's what I'm getting at. So by anchoring at least something on your calendar. Now, something may happen. You got to go to town or something goes. I get it, but I want to have a standing meeting on your calendar is my recommendation.
Yep.
Okay, to anchor it. And then we go to the second piece here, which are growth activities. So this is trying 1 to 2 new things a month. Get out of that comfort zone. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. In your 50s and 60s, this is your go-go years. Go try new things. Please, please. The clients that I work with, Cory, that are having the most fulfilled retirement are getting outside their comfort zone.
Yeah, and to your point about this, I think that this sounds great, but I think there's an important point to make here, though, is that for most people that are retiring in the modern world now, that have retired in the last 10 years or retiring in the next 10 years, they haven't had someone that has modeled what all of this looks like. Like they don't have,
their parents didn't do this. Yes.
Yeah. And their parents might not have had 30-year retirement. So I think to your point, if the idea of going and trying something new and different once or twice a month seems like a daunting task, I think the point here is if you think about working for 30 years and potentially being retired for 30 years, you're going to want to try some things that are new and different.
Yeah. So go to a restaurant that you would, a type of food that you would never eat. Rachel and I dabbled in fencing. We had a great time doing that.
Yeah.
So again, I bought a pinball machine. I got into or Rachel bought me a pinball machine for my birthday. Like get into pinball. Like again, I'm not even retired and I do this.
Right.
But in retirement, I can only imagine the amount of time I would have to try. So I'm just saying 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
You don't have to get extreme. You don't have to spend a lot of money doing this.
Also true.
Again, go on a walk in a part of Kansas City or Texas or Florida, wherever you live, that you haven't been, hopefully it's a safe neighborhood, but like
Sure.
go to a park you've never been to. That's what I'm getting at. Just get a little comfortable being uncomfortable 1 or 2 times a month.
Yeah, because that can expand your life.
Yes, you never know what's going
Not
to happen.
shrink it.
Yes. All right, number 3 is purpose activity. So again, this is what we talked about. Mentoring would be really cool, charity boards or church involvement. Just make sure that you're getting this in your weekly social calendar, even if it's just a quick check-in with somebody, right? Or if you go to church every week and you help facilitate the mass or the service, like whatever that is, getting something that gives you purpose and meaning, especially with men. A lot of our identities are wrapped up in our careers.
Totally.
So if you've got to be there, maybe you do the crosswalk for a school because you live near a school. You got to be there on Fridays because you volunteer to do that. Be there on Fridays and show up and help these kids cross the street or whatever it is, right? Or go to your church. And then connection rituals, weekly dinners, rotating friend groups, walk and talks. Go on a walk with your friend. What a healthy way to connect with someone. I talked about eating. Hopefully it's eating healthy food, but
Sure.
Go say, let's meet me at this park. Let's go do a couple laps. I want to catch up what's going on. Some of Rachel and I's best times are when we're talking and walking.
Yep.
You
Getting
know,
outside.
we love doing that. I like to talk about our financial plan.
I bet you do.
She doesn't always like to do that, but I do. I enjoy doing that. Do you have any examples? You talked about your lunch group. Do you have anything else that your clients do? I have got a lot of clients that they get together maybe monthly with the retirees from work.
Yep.
So it's not just one-on-one. There might be a group of them, right? I got a client that they go camping still with the same people for years, and they
That's
pull their
awesome.
fifth wheels and they go camp. I mean, talk about community and purpose, and that's just advantage. That's just some examples that I've seen. Do you have any other that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we've been talking about this, I was thinking about my own parents. Like my parents who are retired. Like I've seen my dad, for example, on Monday nights volunteers at a local food pantry.
It's great.
My mom on I think it's a bi-weekly basis. Like she volunteers at church with communion. They have 1 day per week where they will come over to my house and they will spend time with my daughter, their granddaughter. So just having some of those things scheduled out. Another point that I wanted to mention, though, this has less to do with my family. There's one person I'm thinking about that I served on a board with that almost the inverse to all of this, but it's something that you just want to keep in mind, and it brings that much more value to scheduling things, is I've worked with some people on boards I've served on that have had successful careers where they've had a lot of people relying upon them. They made a lot of decisions, and then they've overscheduled themselves in retirement.
Oh, wow.
Where they've gone and they've
Too
joined
much.
4 different boards because they had the time, and then all of a sudden they can't keep any structure
Right.
because there's too many different things pulling them in too many different ways. Because we hear people say all the time, like, I'm busier now than I've ever been when people are retired.
Yes.
So sort of bringing some attention to what that
intention.
calendar looks like.
Yes, you got to be intentional about it. Don't just say yes to everything because you don't have a job.
Right.
And that's what
Right.
people do.
That is exactly what people do.
And I get it. You want to help people. I get it. If you're watching or listening to this and you want to help people, I completely understand. So you want to say, well, yeah, I don't have to work. Of course I can help you. Of course I can do this. Of course I can do this. But you have to be intentional with your time. And that's what I'm getting at. Anchor some things on your calendar.
Yes.
Keep a calendar and tell people no. Tell people no when you just because you're retired doesn't mean you're the default everything.
to do everything.
Right.
I
Tell
agree.
people no and don't overcommit yourself because then you might get too into this and it might be bad. Let's talk about that. Some more pitfalls on this. So over relying on your spouse for social stimulation drive Cassie crazy, Cory.
Yeah, I think about this often.
Right. So you got to be careful with that. Like
You do.
some spouses can spend 24/7 together and they know that before retirement, right? Typically, if you've been married 20, 30, 40 years, you know how you engage. Rachel and I are not that way. I enjoy spending time with my wife, but she's got her hobbies and what she likes to do, and I have mine. And it's just better for both of us to remain somewhat independent of each other and not be codependent. So if codependency works for you, great. But my point is, it's very difficult if you go from living independent lifestyles and now all of a sudden you're codependent on your spouse. That's probably not going to fly.
Yeah.
Probably not going to work. So
I've
that's
heard
a
somebody
pitfall.
say that it feels like I've had someone who's told me this, that they're like, it's gone, someone and their spouse, they're like, when we're together all the time, it feels like we are together in a phone booth.
Oh, wow.
And they love each other, but it's like they've gotten, they've gone
too
from
much.
having
Yes.
different things going on to we're at home together all day.
Yes. Another pitfall is watching too much TV.
Yeah.
Or I would argue scrolling on your phone now. I mean, now
both.
people scroll on their phone while they're watching TV. I don't know if that's the best use of your time.
I agree.
And some quick tips on that is There's a tracker on your phone. You can track your screen time. Set a goal. If it's 4 hours a day, maybe you want to cut that to 3.
Right.
And you spend that extra hour doing something healthy.
Right, or productive.
Productive, right? So just be very intentional. Like I like watching TV, but I'm very intentional when I watch it.
Yep.
And I'm everyone does this. Like not everyone, but I catch myself scrolling, and I got to cut it. And I got to cut it and realize that's not productive. So I need to be doing something else. So for me, I have books like right there in my living room.
That's good.
So it's like, do I want to sit here and scroll on my phone for 30 minutes, or I'd rather go read a book for 30 minutes?
Yeah, and acknowledge, while we're on the subject, like the phone is designed to keep you on it.
Yes.
And the scrolling is designed to keep you scrolling.
Right. You know the best trick for that?
What's that?
Turning
the grayscale?
Turning your color on your phone black and white. A good friend and mentor told me that.
It does work.
I can't do it though. So I never want to get, but there's a setting on, I don't know, I'm assuming all phones have it probably.
Color filters.
Yeah. So you can if you make your phone screen, if you have a problem and you know you have a problem, but you can't seem to cut it, I'm telling you, turn your phone black and white and you won't be on it.
It loses the draw.
You won't be on it. And if you really want to make a drastic change, I would encourage, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But again, for people that want it, I don't feel like I have a problem. So that's why I didn't do it.
I do that when I feel like my screen time is creeping in the wrong direction.
Do you? Good
I'll
for
turn
you.
it on black and white.
So you cut it back. Yeah. So
Yes.
I don't feel like I have a problem. I'm very intentional with when I'm on my phone. And again, I recognize I'm scrolling too much. All right, I got to put it down. I'm going to go read. Or I'm going to go do something with Rachel or Einstein. Like I'm going to put it down. So again, that's a good one. All right. Another pitfall is letting old friendships fade because you no longer see the people. So again, get it on the calendar is the key here. Or drifting into unhealthy routines. This is dangerous.
This happens.
Especially as you get older, your health is even more important. We've got young people on our team, Cory. They can pound beers and eat whatever they want, and they're fine. It's like nothing happened.
Right. They wake up and go on about their life.
Yeah, but that doesn't work when you're in your 50s, 60s,
It's
70s.
true.
So don't drink too much. Don't eat too much. Don't not exercise, and don't not have a purpose. Like, so I know these are all double negatives I'm saying, but like my point is, you can go through life without a purpose and it's probably pretty miserable. And you can eat too much, you can drink too much, you can not move enough. And that's not a good way to, you've worked so hard for this retirement. Don't squander it now.
Right.
Don't pick up a drinking habit now.
Right.
Don't start smoking cigarettes now.
Yeah.
Now's the time to be healthy. So go be healthier. I would argue a lot of people sacrifice their health while they're working.
That's true.
Because they argue, Cory, I got to work 50 hours.
I don't have the time.
I don't have the time. Now you've got the time. Go join the gym. Go on walks. I've got a crazy warm North Face coat. I can walk in almost any temperature in Kansas City with a T-shirt on, Cory, with this coat on. So I have zero excuse not to go for a walk. Zero. Rachel made it that way.
That's good.
She loves to walk.
Problem solved.
Go get a warm coat. You can walk pretty much every day in Kansas City. Safely. Make sure you dress appropriately. I don't want anybody getting cold out there. All right. So as we wrap up, I got a few more things here. So we'll keep going here, Cory.
Okay.
So how can advisors help beyond the money? That's what I talked about. It's not just about a financial plan. So please, if you're a client of Falcon Wealth Advisors and you're meeting with your financial planner, check in. You want to talk about your retirement lifestyle plan, and they can give you some good ideas. And you should ask yourself questions and have the advisor ask you questions. What community do you want to be a part of? Where do your closest relationships live? What activities do you want to give you structure? So all those things, and things that we can do is help you with travel budgets, help you plan for healthcare, make sure that you've got the right house that you're living in, and just ultimate health and wellness. And that's what we do, right? So you say you want to start a travel group, or you want to budget in lunch every week, or whatever. We can help plan all those things. That's what we do. Do you have anything you want to add on that piece of it?
I think that your health is such a big part of it. Healthcare is such a big part of it, and that's a big expense for everyone. That having a healthier lifestyle, having these healthy relationships, having the retirement lifestyle plan, all of that can ultimately help your healthcare costs. It can.
Right.
It can make a difference.
Yes. So if you want to parlay your social plan and improving your financial plan, that's one way to do it. As
Yes.
Cory's talking about. So the key here is the whole point of today's show is you want to have a social portfolio and you want to plan. So I've got some calls to action.
Okay, I was going to say, let's talk about the specifics. What are the action steps?
So do yourself a favor. So this can be whether you're retired or you're not retired. This is for anybody. You and Cory and I can do it now, even though neither of us want to retire anytime soon. Is that I want you to identify your 3 to 5 core relationships. Who are the friends that you want to keep, and make sure you're scheduling time with them. And I'll tell you, Cory, when I moved to Kansas City from Texas. I didn't have any friends here and some family, but I selected my friend group based on people that I thought, we were young, I was in my 20s, that I thought had a good head on their shoulders, had integrity, and that they wanted to be successful like I wanted to be successful. And that's who I chose to spend time with. And you know what? They're successful today just like I am.
Right.
And it worked out that way. And I was very intentional. I didn't want to hang out with people that were going down a wrong road. I didn't want that. And so do that now for retirement. Do that now.
That's good.
Choose 2 to 3 weekly activities, right, that you can anchor on your calendar. You can do this now while you're working, right? Get some structure on your social life, right? 2 to 3 on there. Join a community club or do something new in the next month. So go fencing, right? Go play pinball, right? Get a car club, right? I don't know. Have you done anything new? Have you stretched it? You had a baby. That's pretty new.
That is pretty new.
So that is new, though.
Yeah,
like,
and
you're learning how to become a dad.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a time filler also.
Yes.
But yes, yeah, doing something new, different. I play platform tennis. It's a game that I love. I play that. I know that I'm doing that every Tuesday night.
Yeah, good. So you've got some structure around your social calendar.
Yep.
Please talk with your spouse or your partner about expectations so that you know, like, hey, what works for us might not work for me and Rachel, might not work for Cory and Cassie, but Rachel and I know, and we talk about it, right? So set boundaries, set expectations, especially if you're planning on retiring soon. This is even more critical for you. And then if you want to get really into it, you could even create a written plan. So it's called a retirement social blueprint. And I can offer you a free template. So if anybody's watching this and wants a free template for a retirement social blueprint and you want to put it on paper or on your computer, let me know and I'll send you a free copy. Just email Luke at falconwealthadvisors.com and Luke will make sure that I send that over to you.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, my takeaway from all the action steps that you just gave, Jake, is that small steps here can compound just like they do with money.
Right. It's so big on that. And so retirement shouldn't shrink your world. Like you mentioned, it should expand it. So again, any other closing thoughts on this, Cory?
Yeah, I think for people that haven't had someone who's modeled what retirement looks like, or they just don't have that's the way the world has gone. A lot of people that are stepping into retirement for 30 years don't know what to expect and don't have someone who's modeled that out for them. Obviously, your financial plan matters. That part of it is very important, but the social life, the social plan is actually what brings retirement to life.
Right. Good. So you've got to marry the two. And that's why today's episode was so powerful. Yeah, we talk about Roth IRA, Social Security, Medicare, stocks, bonds, options, the economy, all that. And all that stuff is important also. But again, you can have all the money in the world, but if you're miserable socially, what's the point?
Right? If you're just trying to fill a void.
You've got to have both. And you can have both.
That's right.
You can have all the money in the world, Cory, and be completely happy.
Right.
Or all the money that you need for your plan and be happy. And that's really what I want to see in our clients that we work with.
Yep. I think that's the key to a fulfilled life.
That's right. All right, Cory, no time for a soapbox. We went over today, but thank you as always for joining me. And thank you all for tuning in. We hope you have a great week.